If you're a dude in your 20s, I'm going to show you three simple things that you can focus on to build muscle. My name is Dom. I've been in the fitness space for over a decade, and I've helped hundreds of athletes, active and retired, get into the best shape of their lives. And that's me as well. So if you're looking for fancy terms or anything like that, that's not me. I'm not your guy. I have a ton of people that I can refer you to that you can listen to if you're looking for studies or anything like that. That's not me. My goal is to break it down simply and in a digestible way so that you can understand it and actually apply it as well. And so we're going to go through this. I've got a document pulled up and I'm going to show you some things that have helped me. My goal and mission is to equip men to get into the best shape of their lives so that they can carry out the calling that is put on their life or the individual man, the calling that has been put on his life. I believe that the world needs more strong men. And like I said, I am not the expert, but I have undeniable proof that what I have done works, including myself. And so I'm going to pull a picture up of myself if you are on YouTube. That is me. Okay. On the left is a retired athlete, freshly collegiate and a short stint in professional semi-pro baseball. And on the left was about a year ago, feeling great, being in the best shape of my life for sure. And so I've done this. Um, I've done this in like real time. And so this is my this is my story. And so I'm going to tell you through this and show you what I've done. So like I said, I'm a former athlete. I fell out of shape and didn't really know what to do. I was an exercise science major, but I never really put it into practice. So I never trained anybody. I never worked through what it looked like or what it was to really train someone or problem solve. And so through trial and error for myself, I found a simple system that worked for me. And it took a lot of time, took a lot of research, took things that, you know, I felt like I didn't make too much progress. And so what happened was what I did was I was able to create a system that helped people get into the best shape of their life. And so just for some reference, I'm going to put this up again on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, this is me, right? This is the real thing. And so um, I made the real progress and made real change, and I want to show you what this is. I don't care about, people being hidden behind paywalls or anything like that. I just want to share some things that I feel like is super, super valuable for you. So, the people that are on TikTok, what's up? Appreciate you jumping in, saying hi. I'm recording a little behind the scenes as well, and so just as we get going, if you need any help or have any questions with this, as far as getting into the best shape of your life, I've got a totally free school community. For those of you that are on TikTok, the link is in my bio on my page. For you all that are watching on YouTube, it's going to be in the description of this video. And so once I upload it. So, um, like I said, going back to my story, I was able to get in the best shape of my life and stay in the best shape of my life. And for example, like in the video that you saw, I went from skinny fat to running 12 Spartan races in a year and qualifying for the Trifecta World Championship, which is, amazing things and I'm really grateful for. But I want to share that with other people. And so, enough about me. I want to talk about how I did this. And one of the big things for me, which, if I could break it down into something super simple, was prioritizing building muscle. And I think the main three things I'm going to share with you today are resistance training, prioritizing protein, and prioritizing sleep and recovery. So we're going to cut into this a little bit. As far as resistance training goes, progressive overload is key. It wins. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It sounds like a fancy term. If you ever hear me say something fancy, I don't, I always want to try to break it down so you can understand it. And so, um, progressive overload is just over time, over a course of weeks or months, increasing the resistance or increasing the difficulty or increasing the demand that we have that we put on our body or our muscles. So for some people, that looks like increasing the weight week by week, or increasing the rep with the same weight week by week, the amount of reps, or increasing the sets. And so, what is really, really important, and you can see it on the document that I've got with a screen share, is to track your weight, your sets, and reps. Okay. Track these things. It is very important. Okay. This doesn't have to be super fancy. Okay. You can do, um, you can get the job done in 3 sessions per week. You really can. There's some people that actually don't love to train. I'm someone that I enjoy it, but there's people that don't train and they get the job done. They build muscle in 3 sessions per week. And so they are doing 3 sessions full body usually. But as you can see on the screen here, we've got a, movement patterns that I tried to hit in a week. So it is a squat, a lunge, a push, a pull, a carry, a hinge, and a rotate. And so I'm gonna slow that down one more time. We want a squat pattern, okay? So for people, that's different things. That could be back squats, could be goblet squats, could be split squats. It could be more of a sumo squat. So it depends. We can change it up if we need to. Um, a lunge, so some sort of split stance, some sort of single leg. Our world is we live our lives one leg at a time, right? We're walking. We don't hop places. So we're walking. We're always moving on a single leg. So we want to train that. Okay. A push. If you want to get into the details, upper body pushing, we can do a horizontal push or a vertical push. So we're pushing overhead or pushing out. Think more like bench press for a horizontal push or a shoulder press for a vertical push. Pull. Okay, probably my favorite movement pattern. We can do a horizontal pull, right? Think about a bent over row or a single arm dumbbell row or an overhead pull. So think about a pull up. So our vertical pull, right? Think about a pull up, think about a lat pull down, something like that. A carry, really, really important, really slept on, in my opinion. Being able to carry weight, being able to improve grip strength, being able to engage the core as we're moving. I think that's really important. That's carry. And then hinge, very, very important to strengthen posterior chain. Posterior just means your backside. Okay. So backside as far as hips, hamstrings, sometimes even your back as well. Um, Hinge is really, really important. I think it's slept on a lot. And then rotating. Rotating is as we get older, it's something we do less and less. Being a former, I played baseball. I rotate a lot. I rotated a lot and I trained that a lot when I was playing. However, when I moved into not being an athlete or being a retired athlete, my day to day doesn't have a lot of training. And so we don't have a habit. If we don't use it, we lose it. Okay. And so being able to train rotation, whether that is with Russian twists, whether that is with landmine rotations, whether that is plenty of different options, we want to be able to train that rotation. And if you are looking for some variations, I'm going to keep on saying this. I've got an exercise variation guide with 70 different exercises, 10 per movement here. I will have it in my school community. So find that link. That's either on my TikTok, it's on my Instagram. It is on the description of this video as well. Find that link, use it, ask me questions. I'm going to keep on saying that it's completely free. I want this to help you and I want to serve you. So that's the resistance training. There is so much more that comes to that, but I don't want to throw too much at you right away. Okay. Um, make some, ask for help. You feel free to ask me for help. I'm happy to help. But those are the basic foundational principles with this. Okay. Number two on areas to focus on to build muscle, prioritizing protein. Now, listen, before we go anything crazy, I'm not a dietitian. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. I'm telling you what has worked for me. Okay. I am not in the business of telling you what to eat or prescribing meals for you. I'm going to tell you what worked for me and what's helped with other people, and you can make that decision on your own. Okay. Now that I've covered my behind, we're going to go into this a little bit. So, to this day, what I focus on, my goal is to get about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I'm about 200 pounds, 190. I try to get around 190 grams of protein a day. Now, that can feel like a lot if you're not used to it. But there are some special scenarios for different people. If you're really overweight, then we might need to taper that down as well because getting that much protein in is a lot. A couple things about protein, it actually satisfies your appetite really, really well. So you're not going to be super, super hungry. You're not going to be really and have those cravings. It also fuels your body really, really well. It's there to repair and build your muscles. It's the building blocks of your muscles, and so really helps with recovery as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But protein is, for me, what has worked a ton. When I can focus on that, everything else falls in place. So that's number one. Really, that's what I try to focus on. If you want to track your macros, you can do that. I'm going to say it again. I've got a macro calculator. So if you want to track macros based on your goals, I've got a macro calculator spreadsheet. I have it in my school community. It is completely free. So find that community, join it. Let me know what you need. Let me know if you need help using it. It is totally free for you to use and utilize. But we can talk about macros a little bit later, and we can talk about what all that is, but I want to focus on things being simple. So, things you can do when I make a plate, I focus on putting protein on my plate first. Okay. I know hey, I'm Italian. I love carbs. I love pasta. I love bread. I will eat that first all the time. But what I try to do is I try to put protein on my plate first. I try to focus on that stuff first because if that is on my plate, that's a priority of mine. And I am going to eat those things and I know I'm going to get what I need to get in. Okay. Um, so when I looking at this again, when I make my plate, I put protein on first. I want that to be a good amount of what my plate is. When I'm going to work, I'm packing my lunch in the morning. I am putting things in my lunchbox based on how much protein is in it and how much protein I need for the day. Okay. So that's a really easy way to do it. And then just for real quick high protein options, egg whites, they're insane as far as especially protein for the calorie. Shakes, there's nothing wrong with protein shakes. If it's your only source of protein, then maybe that's something different. But you're getting shakes in, there's no problem. It's a great supplement. Cottage cheese, whether you hate it, whether you love it, it's still great to get protein in. Greek yogurt, whether that's plain or flavored, that's great as well. Obviously, your meats, chicken, steak, tuna, eggs, beef sticks. Finding those protein snacks has been really, really helpful for me. Certain cheeses as well. It's got great protein in it as well. And the final thing I said would be think protein first. When you are moving, and getting ready to go eat or whatever it is, ask yourself that thing, how can I get protein in my system first? So that's what I do. That's what I've always done. That's the framework that I have as well. So that's number two, prioritizing protein. So we've done resistance training and we've talked about prioritizing protein. Okay. Now, number three is, I think, one of the most slept on features, and a lot of people don't like to admit it. And no pun intended about slept on features or slept on aspects of building muscle. But it is prioritizing sleep and recovery. Okay. This is a foundation. I've heard someone say, and I don't know the credit, is if you are, if there's three pillars of health, and that's exercise, nutrition, and sleep, the true visual of this is the pillars of exercise and nutrition are on the foundation of sleep. If you're not sleeping, but you're training a ton, and you're eating well, your body's still going to break down. Sleep is essential and recovery is essential. This also leans into the nutrition side of things as well, that eating in a way to recover, eating in a way um, to uh, aid your body in post-workout scenarios. And so the mindset shift that I had that was really powerful for me recently was working out is not really a thing to do to burn calories. Okay, it can, but it's not very effective in that way. Working out is a way to create an adaptation. Okay, so if you're going out for a run, for example, yeah, you're gonna burn some calories because you're alive and you're moving and all that stuff. But if you are going for a run, the real goal is to get better at running and make running less hard, less difficult. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to elicit a response. So I'm going to try to get my respiratory system and my lungs and my heart to be stronger. Okay, same thing with working out. I'm going to hit the weights, not to necessarily burn calories, but to build muscle and build an adaptation. And so what we want to do with rest, recovery, and nutrition, especially, is we want to support that adaptation. So what I always like to say is if you're working out and you've elicited a response to go and um, build muscle, it's like the city saying, "Hey, we're going to build this road," and that's amazing. But if you don't supply the city or supply the construction company with the right supplies, asphalt, all that kind of stuff, the trucks and stuff like that, the road's not gonna get built. There's just gonna be a demand for it. It's the same thing with nutrition and recovery after you've worked out. You could really, really work out, let's say 2 hours. It's a long workout every day. But if you're not recovering, if you're not supporting your body the other 22 hours through sleep and nutrition and active recovery and also managing your stress, we'll talk about that at a different time. You're not supporting yourself in those other 22 hours. So I've hit on a lot of things that went on a little tangent, but sleep is when your body recovers. I think a little bit of um, what we can focus on is sleep health, sleep hygiene is what I call it. When I really got particular about my sleep was when I saw a lot of gains and I saw a lot of recovery. My injuries didn't have a ton of more injuries after that. So what I did for a couple things is I set a timer to go to sleep. A lot of people set timers to wake up. I set a timer to go to sleep or start winding down at least. I started to put my phone away earlier. I didn't have my phone in my room, which can be uncomfortable for some people, or you can have your phone across the room, is what I did to start, and then I put it now it's in a different room. Um, there's a uh, there's a real power to that because you're not scrolling to fall asleep. You're actually letting your body rest, recover. You're not having blistering light in your face before you go to sleep. So that's number three for me is prioritizing sleep and recovery. And so, um, the cool thing about this is you started hitting on this with recovery and with um, sleep and nutrition. It all works together. It's all intertwined. Your nutrition aids in recovery, exercise aids in better sleep. You start making these decisions and the snowball starts to roll. The snowball starts to roll one after another to help you get towards where you're going. And that's really what I'm here for. And my goal is to help you get there and aid you in that. And so, like I said, if you need help with any of this and some of the resources that I mentioned, whether that is exercise variations or that is with different high protein meals. I do some meals on my Instagram and TikTok, um, or the exercise variations or things like that. That's on my school community. If you want to be plugged into a community of people who are into stewarding their health, okay, we can talk about this a different time. Um, but or be involved and need help or want to be involved in a community, I have a completely free part of my school community that you can join. The link is, like I said, in the description of this video, or if you're on TikTok, it's on my bio. If you're find me somehow on Instagram, it's on Instagram. Just give that a join. I'm starting that, and so I really am excited for that. And so if you're listening to this, relatively fresh to when it got posted, or if you're watching live, that school community is pretty new. Um, but what I want to do is invite you to join so that then you can be there and help me build this thing and be involved in the community. So really encourage you to jump over there on the school and say what's up, and we're gonna have a good time with that. But I appreciate you guys, appreciate you listening, and we'll talk next time.